Gotta say, guys, this knife is really nice. Really nice. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the table. So today we are checking out the Gateway Barlow from Jack Wolf Knives. And so this is a recent release, and if you were lucky enough to get one and you're looking for validation, if you made a good purchase, rest assured you are validated, because this is actually a very nice knife, especially considering the price point it comes in at. It is very much a traditional pocket knife in that it is a non-locking slip joint folder, and that vibe just really hits with a lot of people nowadays. And there's been a recent resurgence of a lot of very high quality traditional pocket knives that have been made available. And so we'll check out some of those. But first, let's talk about the Gateway Barlow itself. So this one right here, this is the rosewood variant. So we can see the wood covers on the handles here, looking very nice. And so one of the neat things about a natural material like wood is that you do get some variance. So you'll see on this one right here, we have the red stain on the front and back, but then we have this tiny sliver of wood right here, which I guess it didn't quite take the stain very well, so it has a kind of a unique look to it. So it's almost like a stripe. And so whether that's intentional or not, I don't know, but I love the unique look to it. It definitely adds some character and some flair to this knife. And so when you get a natural material, again, like bone or wood, or even stag. I don't think they had stag, but if you get that kind of material, your knife is definitely going to have some character, which is always a nice thing to have. But that being said, this is a traditional Barlow shaped knife. So we have a clip point blade, and we can see there's a nail nick in there, or a nice long nail pull, basically, because being a slip joint knife, it requires, two hands to open. So it's a two-hand opener, very methodical, very planned out, but you'll also see, given the pull, you don't even need to use the nail pull right here. You can totally just pinch it open, and that is something that's always very nice to have for a slip joint, because some slip joint knives, depending on how tight they come from the factory, can really be nail breakers because they're really tight sometimes. But that is not the case with our Gateway Barlow here, so very pinchable. So if that's something you're looking for, rest assured. We do have this half stop right here as well. So we can see at the half stop, there's a nice click when you get there. And then of course in the full open, so you get that little degree of safety there. Great fit and finish. So even at the half stop, you'll notice the back spring here is completely flush in the handle. So that's always nice as well. And the back spring feels like it has just the right amount of pressure. It's not going to close in on you. So again, just very high build quality right here. And to attest to that as well, if we look here in the handles, we can see, it's hard to get the angle just right, but if you look in there, you'll see there's a nice clean interior. So the factory that was assembling these was obviously, it's a modern factory, nice clean build quality. So that's always nice to say as well. But of course, I will mention, of course, this is a foreign produced knife. So we can see right here on the package, yes, it is made in
China, big league.
And that is, of course, because our price point for this knife is $69.99. So what are we getting for $69.99? There was a variety of covers, whether it was carbon fiber, bone, micarta, wood. We had those options. We also have a very nice steel on this knife. And for $69.99, we are getting that 14C 28N steel blade, which is actually quite nice because, again, most traditional knives, if they're not using a carbon steel, it's going to be something a lot cheaper like a D2. And I think for $69.99, getting that Sandvik steel in here is going to be a great user steel. And so those are some of the great things we're getting here. So excellent build quality, option in covers, great blade steel, a lot of winning things about this design. And Jack Wolf Knives is known for their slip joint knives, very high quality, great blade steels. And this one coming in at a more manageable price is literally the name of the knife, the Gateway Barlow. It's a gateway into traditional pocket knives. For those who can't afford $200, $300 for a slip joint knife, here's something that is very much for the masses. And it's no surprise to me as to why this knife sold out literally the day it was released. And so I'm really thinking they're more than likely going to have more of these brought out, probably in different cover materials as well. It won't surprise me down the road as well to see different variants of traditional knives. So this is our Barlow. We'll probably get something with multiple blades on it. A lot of different styles and patterns out there are available. And so at this point, the options are limitless. But let's say you missed this knife, but you really like the style. You really like the idea of a traditional pocket knife. What can you do? What else can you buy out there in the market? Because Jack Wolf Knives is not the first company to bring this idea to the market of affordable, high quality, traditional knives that also happen to be foreign produced. And so I'm thinking of two brands right now, and we'll make some comparisons to Jack Wolf Knives. One of them being right here. This is Rosecraft Blades. And one of their bread and butter is making these traditional pocket knives that are made in China, but also very high quality, and for a good budget price. So the one we're going to check out today, this right here is the Lusahatchee Jack. And so I actually have it right here on the table. So we can see this is actually another Barlow pattern as well. And so also quite pinchable to open, but in hand feels very similar to what we get with the Jack Wolf knife right here. Side by side, we can see it's a little bit smaller in overall length, but dimensions aren't that important. What really matters here is, again, the build quality. How are they made? So again, looking inside the construction, nice and clean. Everything is smooth. Everything is nice and tight. Has a great click to it. So the only difference with this knife here is when we come to our blade steel. You can check that out right there. This one's going to be a D2 steel blade. Nothing wrong with D2, of course, but if I have the option, I'm going to opt for the extra $10 and get the 14C 28N steel every time. That would just be my preference in terms of a user steel, sharpenability, so on and so forth. But that being said, again, Rosecraft Blades has been around for a while. They have quite a few really good designs out there. And so if you've been curious about the brand and can't get the Gateway for now, these are an excellent alternative. But they're not the only game in town. In fact, there's another great brand. You may have heard of them as well. So think of Rough Rider, but not just regular Rough Rider knives. Think of the Rough Rider Reserve line, because Rough Rider, the regular Rough Rider knives are cheapy, $10 knives. Not great, not terrible, but not great. But the Rough Rider Reserves, these ones are actually very well made. If you handed me these knives blindfolded, I would swear they were made in the same factory as the Rosecraft Blades. Maybe they are. But I have one on the table right here. Here we have the Easy Open Swayback. So not a Barlow, but again, just showing a comparison. Again, very clean interior construction, smooth lines on the handles, great shield there. Back spring is perfect again. And so we're getting very high quality build here from Rough Rider Reserve, from Rosecraft Blades. And of course, now we have the Gateway Barlow. And so this is just super exciting for somebody who collects traditional knives, loves traditional patterns, but we can't quite afford maybe the more expensive models that are already out there. And I love that this is literally the Gateway knife because, of course, once you buy these knives, you're going to get thirsty for more. And so what's your natural step next is let's move up to some US-made knives maybe. Great Eastern Cutlery has a lot of awesome options, and now those are hard to get a hold of, but one I wanted to show on the table today, this one right here is the Rosie Barlow. This is the number 78, and I have that one right here. And again, this is a Barlow pattern as well, so we'll do a comparison to the Gateway Barlow. But again, nice half stop, very clicky, very nice to manipulate. This one is going to be a carbon steel in comparison, but we can hold those two side by side, and we can see, again, very similar overall pattern. And I love the little differences in knives like these. Even though they're both Barlows, they're not going to be identical, and that's totally fine. But I love the option that we have choice here now in the market. So regardless of what you can afford or what's available, there's generally always going to be something here for you to check out and enjoy. And that's really the whole point with knives, right? Is like we want to be able to go out and buy and enjoy and use these products. And so with a company like Jack Wolf Knives, they're jumping in full on board. Glad to see them part of this game now. And I got to say, guys, this knife is really nice. Really nice. So again, if you are looking to pick up one on their next run, you're not going to go wrong. The fit and finish is excellent. And I have no connection with Jack Wolf Knives. This is my first one from them. But one thing that I do like to see is that they are very involved with the community. They've posted on Reddit. They've posted on Blade forums. They're very there support-wise. And when I say they, I think it's just, one dude running the show. So that's very much dedication to their craft. And so that's the kind of thing we want to support in this community, because even if the knives are not made in the US, I guarantee you the guy running the company is American. So we want to support that wholeheartedly. And so every impression that I've really seen of this knife has been a positive one. So I guess you can add one more to the stack. But if you have any questions, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Gateway Barlow. Do you agree with what I have to say? If you have any comments about the knives on the table as well, please drop a comment below as well. Would love to hear from you. But I hope all of you out there just have a knife day. See you later.